So my name is Simcha, and the uncles in Jerusalem and all my family, they call me Sima. So it's kind of like Suma. I don't know what I don't know what your name means, Suma, but it's a very nice name, and it rings familiar for me, like Sima, Suma. It's nice.
It's Suma. The meaning of the word Suma is flower.
Yeah, so very much like my name in Hebrew, Simcha is joy, happiness. This is the meaning of Simcha. It's the greatest joy possible. So I have a twin brother, and together our names are like happiness and joy. My parents wanted a lot of happiness in the house, so they got me. And this name remains, and it's a wonderful name like an essence, I think. So you want to dig right into the experience itself, how it happened. What would you like to hear about first?
I will first about your background. I know you are a filmmaker, correct, Simcha? You're a filmmaker based in Israel.
Yeah.
So how did you transition? Like how did you get interested in these topics? Were you like an ardent seeker, or was it like a spontaneous thing that happened?
Yeah, I studied filmmaking in a very good film school in Israel. It was considered one of the best in the world in its time. When I studied, it was 25 years ago. It was very professional. And I made movies, documentaries, and my life was never about any kind of search. I don't have the nature of the searcher. I think I have the exact opposite nature of the one that they give him something and he says, whoa, great. Like if you want to rent an apartment, the first one, I say, oh, great, this is the one I wanted. I never, I married the first one I met, okay, like this, no. But I see the good in everything. And for many years, this was the way I lived, like not seeking, like accepting what is, and this is very good for me. And I never thought there can be something better for me. So I didn't have the nature of the searcher, and I didn't search for something spiritual because I had that topic covered because I was raised in a traditional family, and there was God, and there are these holidays, and you have to fast in this day, and then all your sins are being erased, and everything is very, very, you don't have to think about it at all. You were born into this tradition. It's a very fine tradition. Judaism we have a lot of pride in our survival. The Jews were almost extinct throughout the years. So each Jew, I think, has very pride that he's alive and he survived and he continues this chain. So I had this pride, and I didn't need anything else. I could read about these ideas on a vacation, when there's a book like this, but it was always something like very much in the background of things. And I think, something like a folklore, something not harmful, not helpful. It's nice, like something with color, but no true meaning, nothing. I don't need this in my life. Everything is covered. True, I have problems, but which person doesn't have problems? Which one of us doesn't suffer from something in his life? So I didn't think that the answer lies anywhere. That I just have to cope with these problems, and no spiritual technique or something can help me cope with them. So this was my nature. When I got to the point that I realized that everything I thought about this was that I was wrong all along. Like now when I see those people who talk, and there are people who talk this truth, I know what they are saying, and I know it's true. And I couldn't have seen it before I saw it in myself and realized it myself. And now I can acknowledge it. I can say, wow, there are people who say this is the truth. But then it wasn't in my vocabulary. It wasn't not something related to my life at all. So this was the point, the starting point, my starting point for this.
So you were, until this opened up for you, you were not familiar with these topics?
No, I knew that there was something like, I knew that there was something like enlightenment, but I never really looked into it. I have a brother that I have 5, yeah, but one of them studied this book, That I Am That. He used to have that book. And I used to come and visit him and see him read, but he never spoke about this book. He never explained to me what is it that he is learning, because he has a nature of not trying to impose himself. He's also a vegetarian, not a vegetarian, a person that doesn't eat honey or eggs, but he never speaks about it and he never tries to lecture anyone. So he was the person I knew that there is something like this that he's reading, and we never talk about it because it's a long book and it's boring. It's not peer. So this was the extent of my knowledge, and what I did know about it, I didn't like, because I used to think that people in the East, or like Buddhists, or I don't know, they believe that there is a detachment from everything. And I thought that it was so against my nature, because my persona, character, the image, the story, Simcha, is very emotional, was very emotional, was very involved, was very caring and loving. And she couldn't grasp how can you detach yourself from everything and look the same at everything? How cruel is that? It's so inhumane. It's nothing. I don't like it. Certainly, I don't want to be in this position ever, because I like my vulnerability and the sensitivity, and the something that happens to the other person affects me. I like that. I didn't understand that then. What is this detachment? It's not a detachment, really. It is, but it's much more involvement than a regular way of looking at things. So Simcha, the character, didn't like the idea of being, let's say the word, when you're indifferent to something, you don't care, like you don't care about anything. This is how I thought it is, and I didn't like it. So I had no aspiration going there. And truly, I did yoga for the fun of it, because I used to, as a child, to be a gymnastic, when you do the somersaults. And I was very good at that. I was very flexible, and my body reacted very good to this. So yoga, it was like fun exercise for me. I didn't see it in any spiritual way. And meditation was something I couldn't sit still, because I am a very, I run from place to place. I have like a natural speed in my movement. And it wasn't in my nature. I never connected to meditation. And as a person, I never liked to belong to a community of something, of people, of like identifying something and following it. I always tried to say, no, this is, even Judaism, I followed it to a very small extent, never got into something. I don't want to belong to this group. I don't want to follow anything, any rituals. I liked my individuality. And this is how I lived. I created it. And I didn't feel the urge to belong to a community. So no retreats or anything like that people sometimes do, and then they get closer to these ideas. So really, it was 4 years ago, I had no connection to this world, no connection whatsoever, until it really just connected me to this world. And yet I find myself very different in this world. I don't play by this world's rules. I think it remains, this individuality of what I'm perceiving remains in what happened to me, the way it happened, how I live it, especially how I live it, because I live it just in my daily life. This is it. This is what I do with it.
I think there are some really good points you mentioned in this conversation about, because there can be a lot of misconceptions that one has to meditate for many years for this to open up, or one has to be detached and always be in this observer mode. There are a lot of misconceptions on how it gets those ideas kind of like perpetuate in mainstream. That's why it's sometimes it's refreshing to hear directly from a person who has experienced this, and it's hard to talk about without creating misunderstanding, because there is a tendency to take those insights and turn it into a concept.
Yeah, sadly, this is what happens to everyone. And I think people are always looking for a way, something, tell us something about how to do this. And when you don't, it's like a disappointment, because they are programmed to try to grasp something, to do something. It's against the nature of the person. That my attitude is like, I can only say that it didn't come from everything that I know now, that there are ways, and these ways, I think seldom, I think this is the word, seldom, they're like never, almost never lead to this state. Very, very rarely. And so one can think, if they don't lead to this state, why are they so, it's such a consensus, it's such an understanding, this is the way. Look, again, you want to know the truth, you want to experience the truth. And if you don't see that it's happening, it's not a process, because you see, no one, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen through meditation, through practice. I think I know there are exceptions, but for me, I think the only way, it's like what happened to me, is through the separate form and the separate entity, the separate way, the unique way, what was going on with this story. There is only one story. This is the only story. Simcha is the only story for these kind of eyes. For the way I look at things, is that there are no others. There is only one way that is looking at the world. And when I'm talking, it's me. And when you'll talk, it will be you. And this is the only thing that is happening. And both of us, these two points of view are one. So I forgot what I started to say. And I looked at the cat and it took away all of my attention. It's so cute, because I have also like 4 of them. So 4 children, 4 kids.
Yeah, they are amazing. I would love to hear that moment when that realization occurred to you, because in your case, like in some cases, it can be a gradual thing, but it's like in your case, it was like a spontaneous realization. If you can describe that more.
Yeah, I will try. I will try. It was like a strike of lightning, you say. It was like the moment when you take the camera and you flash, and the picture, this is the exact moment the picture was created, this flash. This was this kind of moment. It was so particular. It was so separated from the life before, and it is the life after. Because from the moment this moment happened, it is the same moment. It doesn't change. This is the moment. This flash remains. But before it, you could tell that there was like time before this shift, and it was a moment, it was in a specific hour. I was driving in my car. It happened to me while I was driving in my car. I love to drive. I think the movement of the road is something that is very misleading, because you think you are going forward and basically are not moving. In the higher, when you look at things from this perspective, you don't move. There is no movement. There is only the illusion of movement. So it always felt very natural for me to move, because in the movement, I could see the stillness. And I liked to drive. I think that it was such a brutal week for me. It was the end of a trying week, a week that I took all my ability to be a person who can feel things and who can do things, and to the maximum, because there was a death of some of my friend's daughter. She was so beautiful and so young. It was so tragic. All of the friends, all of my friends, this was so sad. And we had to deal with so many tragic details, like you see in the movies, what to write for this obituary. This is like things you don't imagine that can happen to you, and you do them to choose the place where they'll bury the 20-year-old girl that I knew ever since she was 8, and to be with my friend while she's picking the place. It was so cruel. And all the way I had to prepare to my own daughter, bat mitzvah. It's like a great celebration. And I had to take her to buy the dress and to tell her how beautiful you look in this dress, darling. So I had to be very happy and to make her happy, because it is her moment. I can't think about the other girl. I have to think about this girl now. And I was directing a big event, and there were like 30 people who had to go on stage and do things on stage, and they needed like a mother director. I'm a director and I'm a woman, so I'm like a mother. I'm telling them where to stand, how to present their text, and to give them the confidence that they can do it, because it's very nerve-wracking to go and present yourself in front of the audience. They were not professional people, so they needed like someone who will back them. So these were things I was doing simultaneously in this week, and we had a very big event that my husband, who is a very good man, is building cars for disabled children. He is making kartings. Like if the child can drive with only this finger, so he builds a car with a joystick. This child can move the finger and drive the car, or if he can only move his leg. So there were many children, like 15 children, 15 cars, teams from all of the country, and he was preparing to a big event that all the children come together to like a place, and they raced one another. So I was moving this week from this funeral in the night to my daughter and dancing with her. I was dancing up until the moment I had to go in the night to the funeral. And I woke up the next morning to this event with the handicapped children, which are so touching. So, and I didn't think that I was doing anything special. I didn't think that I was progressing spiritually or practicing giving or anything, because I had to do this for my child, for my friend, for these children, for these people whom I directed. So I felt like very content that I could do that I'm strong enough to do that I don't think about myself at all. So I think that week, I didn't think about Simcha at all, because there was no place for her. this week, what she feels, what she wants, nothing. She doesn't exist now. How can she? There is no time for her. She has to, she's only a function. She's only a character in this life, and she has to do her job very good so everything would continue to, so she can help. So I think I forgot her. And then I went to visit my brother in the end of this week. It was Saturday after all these emotions. And I told him everything that happened in this week. And we went for 4 hours on a hill in the nature with the birds and the flowers. It was spring, very beautiful. And I told him everything about what happened, every little thing, everything. I didn't leave anything inside me. What I felt, what I did. So I was like cleaning everything from this character. She made such an effort. She did all those things. And then she talked about him. She got some response, and she did everything amazingly. And then she talked about Simcha, talked about everything. And when I said goodbye to my brother, I felt like I didn't have anything else to say. This is the brother who read the time that, and he's very good at listening. He doesn't talk. He's a good listener. So I had nothing left to say or to feel. I felt everything so intensely. All this sorrow, all this gladness, all this. I felt it. I had nothing. Nothing was left. So I got into the car and I just started to drive home. And it was a 20 minutes drive. And I was so empty and had nothing else to say or feel or do. Just drive in this sunset. It's beautiful. The road is beautiful. The trees are beautiful. And everything is so calm. And you don't need to do anything. Not for another 15 minutes. When you get to the house, you'll have a lot of things to do because I had a lot of things to do when I got back. But this 15 minutes, I could drive. I could just look at the road and feel this unmoving movement. And then there was a song on the radio because I always drive with music on. I'm sure many people do the same, and they sing with the radio. There are many scenes in movies when people sing with the radio, or there's a song in the radio. You agree? So this song was a song that I tried once a few years ago to put on a trailer of my work as a film editor. It's called Like in the Movie, and the title is, do you remember we were there like we were in the movie? And it's a song about like a movement of a camera in a film about a couple who is driving in a white car, and she falls asleep and then she wakes up. This is the song, the trees, and the car is going on the road and she's sleeping and then she wakes up. It's a very, I don't know how to say, the songs that make you feel good, a good feel song, like something you relax more into this. When I heard his voice, I said, "Whoa, oh, how I loved this man." It's like, I love his voice. I love this song. It's so nice to hear this song now when everything is empty and I have nothing else. This song is amazing for me. This was the beginning of the song, but I didn't know how powerful this song will be. I had no idea, because when he started to sing, I was like empty. Everything was so peaceful. And he started to sing. A white car is driving down this road, and I was in a white car and I was on the road. And he said, and the eucalyptus trees, they hide it. This is the second line. And I was passing by the eucalyptus trees when he was singing this line. And I was saying, oh, it's so wonderful. I'm in the white car on the road and the eucalyptus trees hide me. And then something weird began to happen. came to happen. Do you say that? Something weird happened. There were two lines before the chorus that became the only thing that I could perceive. I could only perceive the voice from the radio. Like everything in the car or me or the road, like it was like, I can't say that it vanished in the eyes, but it vanished. It wasn't existing because all the focus, like it's like an extreme focus of only a voice. Like when you can hear only something very, very clearly and nothing other than this thing. Nothing. I don't know if you ever had an experience of so much focus in one thing that you can't realize that there are anything other than this thing. This was the feeling. You nod because you don't, there's nothing, just this thing. So this feeling of focus, imagine you sharpen it a lot more. And this is the only thing that is this voice from the radio. And I started to feel an enormous like pressure. I don't know, to call it pressure is not to be accurate because words, especially my English, in Hebrew, I think I express myself more freely, but it was like pressure of quietness. It's like something that is surrounding you and pressing against you. And this was these two lines, and I felt that something is happening, that this voice is the only thing. This was extraordinary. I never felt so much focus on one thing. And this pressure, this quietness, starting to pressure, but it was a nice pressure. It's not like something very, I don't know how to describe it, quietness. So there was something, when this happened, there was something that it wasn't a voice because the only thing was the voice on the radio. But like this quietness, I think, it said like, don't stop this thing. It was clearly like, I knew that something is happening and something is in this happening is asking me not to stop it, because you can, I think, try to stop it when it happens. You can shake it off or get scared. What is it? What is happening to me? Maybe it's something bad. How can I know that this is something good? Maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe I'm going to die. Maybe this is what's happening. Why should I play along with it? Why should I surrender to this feeling? But because I was in such a comfortable place, like a mother that holds, I think this process happened to me with so much mercy, so much love and compassion for the separate form to give me this realization in the most loving way possible. So I felt so secure in my car, in this beautiful road, with this beautiful song, and so empty and so ready. So I said, so when it said, don't stop, I trusted this thing, or I didn't have any place who was scared or no, everything was total, yes, yes, this is happening. This is happening. Now it's happening. Now what is happening? This was a very, I think, defining moment in this, it was the last time that I could identify someone who is feeling something, like a person who's saying, okay, I'll do it, and I will not stop it. Like after this realization, there is no one. But in this point, there was like a separate form. It was the last barrier of the separate form who said, okay, I will not stop this. And I didn't. She didn't. Luckily, thank God she didn't. She just relaxed into the song and saw what happened. And what happened was that the quietness, and it was so intense. It was an enormous quietness. This is the quietness that I live in right now. This is the place. Then it was new to me. I didn't know that there something can be so quiet or blissful or amazing. I didn't know. So it was the first time I was in that state. So it was mind-blowing. But this is the reality of this state. So this quietness became the only thing. And it happened in the chorus, because the chorus imagined that there was someone, this singer, he's just saying to you, to the separate form, who studied filmmaking. This is her life trade. This is what she knew, filmmaking, that everything is how to make films. And he says, do you remember, we were like we were in a movie, and this was not a human voice of a singer. It was that voice. I was that voice. Everything became this thing, that moment, and is still that moment 4 years later for me, for this separate form.
So it was in that moment the story was kind of seen through?
Yeah, that moment when he said, do you remember? I was already in the second state that I am everything. I am that oneness, I am this thing, and I am this thing saying to itself, do you remember that you lived in the world, that you thought it is real? And it was like a movie. Now we can, do you remember that you lived like that, like a person inside reality, a separate person, and he has, and all this lie of what my life was revealed in this split second, because it's like they say, it's an understanding, it's an aha moment, it's the point of the joke. It's the moment when you know everything just by putting everything in the right context. Everything was in the wrong context. Every information I had about this reality was like arranged in a very bad way, the way that humanity is seeing it right now. And through the exact point of looking at it, everything fell into place in split second, because it's so logical, because the point of view is so different. It's not the personal point of view. It's this oneness or consciousness, or call it what you want. I call it all nothingness, because it's nothing that looks like everything. So it's all nothingness. So this is its viewpoint. And when he sees itself, he could only laugh, and Simcha could only laugh about herself. And it was such a relief for her, for the character, not the relief of Simcha, but the general laughter about this thing. Because now when I think about it, it might sound like cruel. When I laughed, this song ended, and there was another song also about cinema. And it was about a girl who's seeing a scary movie and she screams. Oh, there are parts in the song that she's screaming. And I was laughing because this screaming in the movie, I knew that they were like, and it sounds cruel, it's like the tragedy of my friend who lost her daughter. And it's to see that and to laugh about it. It sounds heartless. This is what Simcha, the old, before the shift, couldn't grasp. How can you laugh? But if you know for in certainty of thousand suns. I don't know the certainty of that cannot be, I cannot describe how certain this state is compared to things we learn and know in this reality. We believe in this reality. We can only be like this certain, and someone says something else, and then we think otherwise. This is a pure knowing. So this pure knowing knows that my friend's tragedy didn't happen. Her daughter didn't die. Her daughter never existed. Everything was this grand illusion, grand movie, so you can laugh. And this change from this person who suffered for this terrible loss and this terrible tragedy to this point of view of knowing what really happened was natural for me. Hard to explain, but everything I saw in this light. But this is one example to show the instant change in every parameter that I can perceive something in this reality, how we perceive it. And then I got back home and continued everything like nothing happened.
And tying this back to the beginning of our conversation, has this realization affected how you perceive life now? Like some of the, like for example, you mentioned about like today is a special holiday for you, and but you see it a lot differently than you used to. Can you describe some of the changes that you experienced because of this realization?
I think my life I described them, they were good. I had a family and a job and my husband, and other than my daily struggles with myself and the anxiety, I was doing fine. But after this moment, I became this thing which cannot be disturbed, which cannot be affected by anything. It's something so different from what people think they see when they see me. And the amazing thing is that this thing, it doesn't care what he does. So he is doing the part of Simcha in her life beautifully. Ever since that moment, I just got back to the house and started to cook and went to my friend and continued everything like nothing happened. It was the most shocking thing that can happen to a person. You know, if there was a person to experience it, but there was not a person, there's no one to feel something. So what was left, there was only existence. And ever since that moment, I can say things, weird things, like no time has passed ever since that moment, even though 4 years have passed. In this perception, nothing really ever happens. There is no timeline, so no time has passed for this thing, never. But in this, like the way it looks, I think the character Simcha, the person, is functioning like 80% better than she used to. She does everything much better. I don't. It's like higher focus. You don't. You know when you bump your leg in the corner of the room, you just pay attention to everything. So these things, they don't happen. Everything is much more focused. When you cook better. When you play with your child, you forget the world and you play with him and you laugh and you dance. You dance like crazy, you sing like crazy. You work, you are very focused. You do your daily work in this computer. I'm editing half the time. If I need ideas for a project, I don't have to think about them. They just come. So everything is light, and all this anxiety I had because I wasn't a hypochondriac, or the fear of death and diseases. You know what hypochondriac are? They are miserable people, And so it's gone. It's gone. It's there is no fear of death. There is no fear of anything. There is only this, you can't fight with anyone. Like with my husband, we used to be like a couple that is fighting. Now it can't happen because there is no one to fight against. I can say things, but it's not, they're not related to any emotion. There is only one thing. It's not an emotion. It's pure existence. It's light existence. And for 3 years, I just enjoyed this state in my life and raised my children because they were a little smaller than they are now. And then I started to talk and to record myself and say these things. And it's also nice for the character to do. It's like pronouncing or expressing in words, or trying to express in words this thing. And like when they say my job is in the filmmaking, my daily living is with high-tech companies, and they have like an idea of something they have to sell or to teach, and they come to me and they say, okay, we have to sell this. What do you offer? So I have to give ideas on how to brand it or how to make it accessible for people. This thing you can sell like this, through humor, to music, and explain these things. And I'm an expert in taking things that are not related to my life. I can learn many things about biology or high tech, and take this information and make a clip out of it, and something that people will identify with and understand. And then I thought that this thing came to Simcha, so I can try to make other people understand it, because I have the ability to take things and to present them. But this is the most hard client I've ever had, and its message is so hard to transmit. So I'm doing the best I can, but I don't think I can really deliver this message, but I'll try. This is also a paradox.
As a filmmaker, do you plan to make any movie about it?
No. About this thing, like the secret. No, I know all this. There are ways, cinematic ways to deliver emotion. I'm also writing stories. I started to write in Facebook. I never had Facebook, so I started to write this message on Facebook, and I realized that people don't understand what I want to say. So I started to wrap it with stories about my past and interesting stories that have a certain lesson, and then inside them I will bring this message. So I understand that it's like needs to be presented to the people in the way they will understand. But I think that any attempt that I will make to try to portray in a cinematic way will not work. I don't think it will work. I don't think. And I have no desire to make films anymore, because it's not interesting for me. All this process, it's not interesting. I can, when I do a video, I like humor. So sometimes I made one about God. Does he exist? And I took materials from movies that portray God and try to show through these examples about to reinforce my message. And it's an artistic way to try to demonstrate what I want to say. But Suma, this is really, truly an impossible mission for me to try to because the words are being said not only by me, and you heard them, and I don't know how, and I don't think there is a way to really explain it, and it can't come through explanation, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a very tough one to describe. It's not easy without getting misunderstood.
Are you interested in this thing? What drives you into this quest of?
I'm like you, like I'm not like a seeker. I just did this spontaneously because I loved. There was something in me that like was interested in creating something around it. Like it was like an inner voice guiding me to this. So I just did it for fun, but I didn't realize like it would transform me in such a big way. It was kind of like a happy accident.
You enjoy it?
Yeah. It's something I love doing. And it gives like a joy that I can't describe. So it's like it's not even in my control. Like some ideas come to me and I just connect with some people and I create this content. There's no like major thinking involved that this is what I want to do, or it's just a voice guiding.
It's amazing. This is the best thing you could say about this process, because it shows that you are spontaneous and intuitive, and these are qualities that this thing loves the most, because it celebrates freedom and like walking in sometimes not the most logical thing and celebrating it and following this you say in a voice. Wow, it's so rare, because people, they like to shush this inner voice. They make no, not now. No, maybe later. Well, we will come together and maybe, and they miss out all the things that can open for them. And you are opening something for you and for others just by following, just by being like honest with yourself. So I really think, because my way is not through meditation, and it's through the personal separate form to see how it lives, how Suma lives. So Suma lives in alliance, or she's working in my way towards these things, because she is following her intuition, and also because she's giving to others. And I think that what I did, and what is leading to the erasing of this separate form, is giving to others. To give yourself until there's nothing left in you. You are giving yourself away. Take it. I don't need myself, you know? So you're giving something to people. And this is a spiritual evolvement.
And it's very, I'm sure you can, you would have an interesting feedback on this. Like, it's very different when your thinking mind is not involved in things you're doing. It's things just flow, like there is no, because with thinking mind, it can become very heavy and intense. It's very rigid in its way of like what outcome it wants, how it wants to do things. Whereas this inner voice, it's just simple, it's uncomplicated.
You're right, because in this state, there are thoughts. Thoughts are, but they are not. The thoughts are the noise that was cut off of this thing. They hide the true essence of this thing, the true voice, you call it. It is a voice. It's you, and they remain as, like, you will see something in your Hebrew. In the physical world, the thoughts are looked at just like something outside yourself in the physical world this doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the illusion. Just like if I'll see a book on the table, it's the same as if the thought will come into my mind. It's the same, I will perceive it the same way, and it will have the same effect on me, none. So all this weight that the psychological weight that it gets you get free from leaves only this spontaneous, light, happy, playful, crazily playful, because he wants to play. He wants everything to be interesting and fun. He wants everything to be good and moving and flourishing, and everything has to make this creation. And the world we live in now, humanity is so depressing. It depresses itself with constant judgment, self-judgment, judging others, judging ourselves, killing the moment with a knife. This is not a good moment now. Now it's not a good moment. Maybe sometimes in the future I will have, if I'm lucky, a good moment, and I will arrange it. Maybe on a holiday, sometimes I will sit in the sun and there will be a moment. This will be a great moment. Not now. This moment is worthless. It's nothing. And in this moment is you, and he wants to play. It's like someone wants to play with you. And sometimes when I look at children, it's the best way to see it. Children want to play with you. And I always say yes. Children, they know they can play with me because I always say yes. It's so much fun. It's so much fun for them, for me, and everything is happening. So this moment wants to play with us. And like a child will ask you, and most people will say, no, I have to do this and that, and then we'll play. Then we'll play. And they miss out. They miss the moment where everything happens. This game is this life, and they miss the life. And it's sad, but this is what they choose to do right now. So I can say, you should, it will be good for you to play. Try to play. It's so much fun. It's better for you. It's better for the world if you play. It's better for the world if you are light, if you'll follow your inner voice. Do, like Suma, do an interview show, do something that resonates with you. Find what this voice is telling you and do it. And everyone, you will be happy and content, and you will evolve, and everyone around you will evolve, and new connection will form, and everything will rise. This is what we can do here. Open everything up. Like there is a house, close doors. We open the windows and we open the doors and we let everything, the wind and the light get in. That's what I think.
Yeah, I resonate with that. I think it becomes a lot more simpler. And I like the words you used, psychological weight. It's kind of like that weight is dropped off your shoulder. It becomes a lot more lighter and simple. There's no this complicated thinking involved for stuff that is obvious in front of you. Like reality is obvious and already present, but we make it complicated.
Yeah, we suffer so much psychologically. We suffer. People, they always think, what will the other people say about me? And what does it say about me if I'll do this? And it's on every step they do. If it was on rare occasions, sometimes, once in a while, you would think that, but this is the state. Every breath, every action you make, people think about the consequences. So just think how much pressure humanity is living under. And when released from that pressure, how free you are just to laugh about it. And it's like a carefree soul. Run carefree in the sun. Imagine the place where you have nothing to worry about. If you can imagine such a place, such a secure place, a place that you feel you can do anything and everything will be okay, and you can, I don't know, run wild and be happy. And this is the place that you go in the world, like in this state, you are just like open, and happy, and nothing can hurt you. It can't hurt because there is no one to be hurt. So there's only this thing. It doesn't matter what anyone will say, and there can be no thought about what will someone say. We are one. How can someone say something about me? This is funny. And if he will say, it's also something I'm saying to myself, it's more funny. And if there is a crash, it's also funny. I used to, when it happened to me, the day after, my children got in a fight. They were fighting. And before the shift, like before the change, they are fighting, and she's hurting him. And I was so trying to break them up. And in this state, I couldn't stop laughing, and they didn't understand why I'm laughing. I saw this thing fighting with itself as two children. Of course, I did what it took to break them and to tell her, don't do this. That I did what a mother would do. But I knew what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing two persons fighting, two children fighting. I'm seeing eternity itself playing with itself as two children, and it's so delightful and so funny. So I had to laugh. And I learned to control my laughter now and not laugh every time that I see everything. So you could see me smile, but this is the state.
And I'm also interested in hearing your thoughts on, because I noticed on your YouTube, you shared something about how matter is alive. Can you talk a little bit more on that? The whole thing, what we're perceiving as this surrounding us, this planet Earth and this cosmos, the sun and everything is not what it appears to be. So it appears to look like matter. And scientists say that it is built out of atoms. They invented the word and studied it. And I do believe that in the same way you can see the tree, you can see the atom. But there is no tree and there is no atom. So the appearance of matter is very realistic, because we have, like, I go back to the way I woke up, like in the movies. If you saw a movie and like the scenery was like, they didn't pay much money to make the costumes and to make it look like, I don't know, like a mountain. So they'll put something and you will see it's not real. But this setting of this world is the most amazing. I don't know how to say tafora. It's the most amazing setting that can be, like in a film, like there is an artist who made it as real as it could.
And not only it looks like that, he made a texture, so you will believe that it has like volume. So this illusion is so perfect, so amazingly designed beautifully. And like we thought about every aspect that it will smell and have, you can touch it and you can't doubt that this is matter. This is something that it's real. You can't think that it's not real. When you look at your hand, you will never say, this is not real, this is empty. You will never say that, okay? This is perfect illusion. But in this state, when you look at matter, you know what you are. You are this emptiness, and this emptiness is appearing as shapes. So it doesn't matter at all what shape it takes. It doesn't matter if it takes the shape of a person or the shape of an umbrella or the shape of the most disgusting things you can think of. It doesn't really matter, because in reality, none of these shapes exist. I know it sounds like sci-fi, like from a movie, but when you see it, and I hope someday soon, the direct knowledge that I recommend, my channel is called Knowing Yourself. Know yourself, know it yourself, know what you are yourself. So when you see this with your own eyes, you know that all matter that surrounds you, including this shape, is empty and sacred. And sacred because this is what the unnamed is. Call it God, call it what, pick your name for it. I don't like names. They have too many connotations. People interpret them the way they want. So this is, everything is holy. Everything is it. So of course, the matter is alive. It's not alive like we understand life, that Simcha is alive and you're alive and we're having a conversation. There is only liveliness of this emptiness, and this emptiness is liveliness. And this is why I say that matter is alive. It is this thing, and it doesn't matter what shape it takes. It doesn't matter. So I recommend respecting matter and not using ill Mother Nature, like so many people think that it doesn't have, it has qualities, and you have to use it the right way, for the benefit of others and humanity, not exploit it. And of course, to the animals and the trees, everything is not different from you. You are so mistaken by thinking that you are a separate form and this is something else, and I can use this thing. It's not the case. This is just a misconception. There's nothing I can do to show it. So if I could show it to the persons who do that, they will stop in this place and understand what they are doing. It's like watching the blind playing golf. Like, I don't know, just, I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, it's really interesting to explore that a lot of ideas have come from that assumption that matter is dead and it doesn't have its own intelligence. So it's kind of like a pile of misconceptions that can get built if that foundation itself is not correct. All that pile kind of collapses.
I'm all for collapsing because I think someone who is striving to know himself, he should be ready for many collapsing, because the basic assumption of humanity is wrong. What is this world? Who are we? the basic, the ground that we stand on. And then on this wrong thing, we build everything. And it's all false. Everything is false. And we can't do that. So we have to pull this rug under and drop everything. It's very radical to say that. But this is what I say because this is what I know and experience, and this is it's the truth I can say, I can express. But everything is, it's like a diluted mind. No, it's not a diluted mind. It's a programmed mind. It doesn't know any better. And even if I say to you now, you don't exist right now, when this interview is not happening, this is a great emptiness, sacred emptiness. The basic assumption is wrong, and everything that is built on it is wrong. And this is all, what is the right thing, you can only know by following a spiritual road that is yours, like by following this voice, this playful voice that wants you to just play with it and express it. And what you did so beautifully, and to evolve as a separate form and to see it with your own eyes, to feel it, to crush everything. And I didn't know that this is a possibility. It just happened, you know. It's very fortunate for me that it happened. Otherwise, I think I would live and not know this thing. But if I do know this thing, I can express it and encourage everything to total collapse of everything. Burn everything, burn it, burn the house, get out.
And if someone, is there anything you would like to share more today, Simcha, with the audience? Are there any insights you think that stand out for you that you would like to share?
I only want to say that this is this state. It's a normal state for me. I think for anyone to live in this state, it's just like being normal. Being normal, not it's the simplest thing. And I live a very, very ordinary life with my children and my daily job and everything I do. And it's also, it's an enormous celebration and ecstasy and bliss in the most simple things. Everything, every moment is for me this moment. So you can imagine, and my message is that it's not something unattainable. It's something that happens. I recommend that everyone know about it. And you can live in this state peacefully it doesn't have to change you. It doesn't make you something else other than what it turns you into the funnest, most loved version of yourself, the one that everyone just can connect to, and you're just free to be all the good things you know you are, and you never let yourself show. So this is the way to show yourself to the world. And I hope that people will show themselves to the world and give themselves to the world. And this is my message.
Thank you for that message. And if someone wants to reach out to you, I know you also have a blog, and but which one?
It's in Hebrew. It's in Hebrew. Unfortunately, I'm not so good in English for writing these things. So it's in Hebrew. But if someone wants to contact me, they write me. I have an email, and they write, and I write back. And sometimes they call me, and I talk to them, and it happened to me. And it's nice. I just see how they are doing. And like we talked now, just for the fun of it, because there is no way, nothing I can do for them. Just encourage them to say that this is it. This is real. This is the thing. It can happen. If it happened to me, why not to you? Why not?
Yeah, it's. I consider it as like a big milestone in life because it can deeply transform you. Maybe nothing changes on the surface, but on the inside, like it's deeply transformative.
Of course, it's the most shocking thing that ever happened in this. I don't have words to say how crazy this thing is, how amazing it is, how it's like all the movies, the Matrix, the compiled together can't touch this amazing thing, and yet it's so simple and natural. You can live in this state. This is the grandest paradox. What I'm talking about is it's not life-changing. It's understanding that there was no life that was lived. No one's life got changed. It is this thing. It is all these legends. It's amazing. And yet it can just be whatever form. It can be a desk. It can be Simcha. It can be Suma. It's amazing. So I just enjoy it. I just enjoy this.
Yeah, this was a really fun conversation, and I'll include both your YouTube channel and your blog as well as your email in the description. But this was really fun, especially because, like in your case, like it's not like you were practicing for years, or it just spontaneously opened up. So it's nice to hear those kind of stories, because sometimes someone has been meditating for many decades or doing certain practices. It may lighten up that seeking energy for them, hopefully.
Yeah, and for me, it was also fun to speak with such a nice woman, because it's a woman, like it's a different energy when women talk. So
Yeah.
I had so much fun to meet you and to see Suma together.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm looking forward to more of your content.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me and talking to me and opening your curious, sparkling eyes to this reality. Hope that everything will fall in place for you also. You continue walking with your own amazing inner voice. Just follow it, and sky's the limit. It's amazing.
You're very kind, and I surely want to stay in touch with you. And please feel free if there is any, and this doesn't have to be like the only interview. Like if you ever feel like there is something else you want to share or just have a conversation, I'm more than happy to reconnect and have a chat again.
Same, you can reach me anytime. Just write to me if you want to talk to me. I'm glad